What up, family? Samuel Genus here again with Predict Your Business, where I help entrepreneurs like you wear less hats and grow your business in a predictable way. I want to answer a question in this video. Some people ask, I'm growing a business, but my children don't want the business. What should I do? I'm growing a business, but my children don't want the business. They don't want to run it. They're not passionate about it. What should I do? Again, I'm coming to you from Jamaica. I'm in Montego Bay, Jamaica with my wife, my brother-in-law, and my sister. And it's very beautiful out here. But while I was out here, I was like, you know what? I got to still keep making some good content for my audience. And I like to look at the questions that my audience is asking. And then instead of me just typing an answer to that person, I'd rather respond in a video. So, because I know that there's more than one person who has that same question. So this is my way of killing, 1,000 birds with one stone, right? Or answering 1,000 questions with one video. What do? I have a business. My children don't want it. What do I do? This is the thing you need to first understand. I'm a big advocate in generational wealth, family business, building a family empire. You can't do that if what you build is abandoned by your children. I'm just going to keep it real with you. But I think one of the biggest things that we fail to realize is we think that just because I'm into something, my children got to be into it as well. And that's great if they are. But what if they're not? The first thing that I think we need to understand is that we need to know the difference between running a business and owning a business. I'm going to repeat that. There's a difference between running the business and owning the business. It's all about who owns it, right? I don't know who owns Doctor's Cave here. We're at Doctor's Cave in Montego Bay. I don't know who owns it. Whoever owns it is making the most money, right? The person running it is not the person making the most money. It's the person who owns it, right? The money is really going to them. Everybody else is just employees. Even the person running it may be a high paid employee, but they're an employee nonetheless, right? So you have to explain to your children, well, you first have to understand that my kids need to own it, but they don't have to run it on a day-to-day basis. This is how many corporations are run. You have owners or trustees who own the business. They are the majority shareholders. They're the owners, right, of the business. But then they bring in a CEO to actually run the business on a day-to-day basis. And so that's what you want your children to be able to do. Now, if they don't want to do that, I'm going to tell you, they're crazy. If they don't want to do that, they're crazy. Because that's where the money is at. That's why people buy shares. You ain't buying shares to run the business. You're buying shares so that you can have ownership, so that when the profit is made, you get a cut of that profit. You feel me? So your children shouldn't be against making money. And owning the business is way easier than running the business. You feel me? So you want your children to own what you create, but then you need to teach them how to hire the right people so that they can run the business. That person that they hire can run the business on a day-to-day basis and make a profit. Your children has to just be good at bringing in the right CEO, right? And that's what they need to learn anyway. Like that's a really good skill to have, is to bring in a CEO, someone who knows the business, to run it. Now, your children may not even be able to pick the right CEO. This is where you could bring in a third party, right, who can help your children make that decision, right? Because your children may not know the car industry. Maybe you have a car dealership, or maybe you have a real estate business. Maybe you have an IT company. Maybe you're into the hotel, what is it called, like the hospitality industry. You want your children to own those businesses, and they may not necessarily have the passion to do it. They may not have the understanding to do it, right? But they should be able to bring in the right people to run it for you. And that's what you want them to understand. You can be like, hey, you can still pursue your career. You can still let your kids know, hey, you can still pursue your hobbies. You can still pursue, things that make you happy. But they need to understand the bigger picture, because most children, they don't have a bigger picture mentality. They are very individualistic. It's all about them. It's not about the family vision. It's not about building a family empire. It's all about just building themselves. So a lot of children, if truth be told, they have an individualistic mentality. And if you really want to be technical, some of them even have a very selfish mentality, right? And then as they get older, they mature, right? But it's your responsibility as a parent to kind of break down those two and help your children understand the difference between owning and running the business. You definitely want your children to own the business. See, it's all about ownership. They need to own the car company. They need to own the manufacturing facility. They need to own the barber shop. They need to own the beauty salon. They need to own the gas station. They need to own the restaurant. They need to own the hotel, but they don't necessarily have to run it. Bring in a CEO, bring in a vice president, bring in somebody who can run the business, bring in a manager, an office manager, project manager, bring in somebody who actually understands the industry, understands the business, and who knows how to turn that business and make it profitable. That's what you want them to be able to do. And guess what? Let your children know. Bring them to a place like Montego Bay, right? Tell them, look, ownership. Owners, you sit on the sidelines and you let your CEO do the work. You just make sure you hire the right person. You could be sitting here at the beach while somebody else is running your business at home, right? You can be in Paris while somebody's running your business at home. You have to broaden your children's horizon, because guess what? The public school system is not teaching them that. The public school system is not teaching them about ownership, nor is it teaching them how to run a business on a day-to-day basis. They don't know neither. Take them to different places and be like, look, this is the beauty of ownership. If you don't have the passion to run the business, then own it. Bring in the right people, right? Start introducing them to people who can perhaps run the business. Maybe the person to run the business is one of their friends. Think about this for a second. Maybe the person to run the business is one of their friends. Maybe the person to run the business is one of your friends, but you want to keep the ownership with your kids. You get that? So you may have to find your Joshua, kind of like in the Bible, you had Moses, but Joshua was like the apprentice. I mean, he was like the apprentice. He was like the student, right? But eventually Joshua took over the leadership role. And so in your business, you need to be looking for your Joshua. You need to be looking for your student, or your person who's going to be next in line, not to own the business, but to run the business. Because remember, you're building a family empire, and you can't build a family empire if you give the ownership away. Y'all feel me? I'm gonna repeat that because it was powerful. It's a quotable, so you need to write that down. You can't build a family empire if you're giving ownership to somebody else besides your family. But it doesn't really matter who runs it, right? You may be building something like, I don't care, you may be African American. You may have to bring in a white man to run your business. Who cares, right? White people do it all the time, right? They're bringing a black person to run their business, but guess what? They'll let you be the CEO, right? We got black people right now who is the CEO of certain big companies, but guess what? They don't own it. They're not the majority shareholder. You know what I mean? You build family wealth, you build a family empire by building on top of. Somebody builds the roads, somebody builds the buildings, somebody builds the supermarket, somebody builds a hotel, somebody builds this. You keep building on top of what your family already started. You don't keep knocking down what they built and then starting from ground zero all over again. That's not how you build to the top. You got to start off where they left off. Can you imagine where America would be if we kept starting from zero? No. We're taking advantage of roads and bridges that was built during the Great Depression. We're taking advantage of, look at New York, look at the skyline of New York. Many of those buildings are over 50 years old. Think about that for a second. These neighborhoods didn't just get here overnight. Rome was not built in a day. It took years, dozens of years to get here, and we wouldn't get here if we kept knocking down what the previous generation built before us. I really want you to understand that. You're not going to get where you're going by constantly knocking down what your grandparents built, what your father and mothers built. You want to build on top of what they've done. Every now and then, you may have to renovate. Every now and then, you may have to knock a few things down to expand. But remember, the mentality is still about expansion. It's not about knocking down and starting from zero. It's about expanding. I want to encourage you. Don't trip out if your kids don't have the same passion, but you definitely want them to own it, right? That's what it's no different than like being a majority shareholder, right? It's no different than investing in Bitcoin. You're trying to invest and you want to own as much of it as possible, right? And so in this case, you will own most of the, they done working out. Their shirts are wet, so that obviously they must have did something good. Because if your shirt ain't wet, you ain't work out. That's just the bottom line. I don't care what nobody say. She's like, I don't care. If you ain't sweating, you ain't work out. But check this out. So I just want to close on that, right? I just want to close on that ultimately you have to make sure that you explain to them the difference between ownership and running the business on a day-to-day basis. You want them to own it, and you want them to bring in somebody who will run it. So I just want to drop that into your mind, you know, put it in your long-term memory bank, because trust me, some of you out there, your kids don't want to run your business. They don't have the passion for it. Some of them don't have the skill sets for it. Owning it doesn't require as much skills, right? There's many people who can own a restaurant and don't even know how to cook, don't even know anything about, you know, serving people, but they can bring in somebody who will run the restaurant. You feel me? That's all I'm talking about. There are many people who have real estate property, but guess what? It's the property manager who runs the day-to-day operations, who rent out the property, who check for credit references, who do the evictions, who write up the late notices and all that. Same exact thing. Surround yourself with people who can help you run the business while your kids own the business. This is Samuel Genis with Predict Your Business. I will see you in the next video. In the meantime, I'm going to be enjoying Jamaica, Montego Bay. We're going to Ocho Rios in a couple of hours, and so I'm just having the time of my life. All right. Oh, don't forget to click on the link below and sign up for UShare 360 back office. Yes, I'm the owner of Predict Your Business, but I also own, I'm the founder of UShare 360, and we have a platform called the Back Office. It helps you manage the contacts, manage your websites, your e-commerce, manage your email campaigns, your marketing funnels. You can manage your billing, you can manage your projects, all right? So, and this software is for free. It's not a free trial. You can get it for free. So sign up right now if you're new into business or you've already been in business, but you need to get better software. You want to consolidate your software. You need an all-in-one system. This is an all-in-one system, and it will help you do all of that. So click on the link below to get free access to UShare360.com. I'll talk to you in the next video. Take care.